Okay, it's recording. What? Can you see me?
No.
It's just black?
I can't see anything.
That's even better.
The eyes are up here or something.
No, they're right there.
I can't see nothing.
Is it just blacked out?
I guess they're blacked out. Bless their heart. I don't know how these people are gonna see.
I hope they fall.
I can see out my mouth. I can see out my
shouldn't say
mouth.
that.
I can see out my mouth.
Oh, God.
What's a? Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Welcome back to Sacrificially Speaking. My name's Havana.
I'm Stitch.
Oh,
What's up?
I don't really know where to go. Apparently, I'm discussing...
We're gonna talk about Bible prophecy today.
No, we're discussing modern Israel and the church.
Oh yeah, you know why I got this on? Because this is how a lot of the buffoons look that's talking about Israel right now. So anyway, all right.
Okay.
Anyway, all right, let's have some fun.
Okay. We're gonna hop right in. So, first question.
First question.
Why does Israel remain the focal point of the world conflict and prophecy in our time? Which we've started to cover, but this is just this is a recap.
From the very beginning, we said it's spiritual. It has to be spiritual.
Yes.
Whether you look at the size, the scope, how they keep resurging as a nation, even though they've been destroyed, exiled, dispersed, it has to be spiritual. Why else would the whole world be focused on that part of the world so heavily? Yeah. Especially the United Nations. They're really weird about it. But anyway.
The United Nations is...
Yeah, they're a little strange on that one.
Anyway, as reports claim that the Israel and Hamas war is ending, how should believers interpret political peace?
As political peace. They could fall apart at any moment. All right, so a couple things here. Number one, the scripture warns us. So I think this is a 21 phase, 21 point peace plan.
Yeah. And it's already falling apart.
This thing is phasing out. As we're doing this podcast, it's already falling apart. Yeah. By the time this podcast airs, it might have completely fallen apart. I hope not. Mm-hmm. I hope for the sake of the Palestinian people that this holds up, and for the sake of the Jewish people that it holds up. I hope for the sake of the whole region that it holds up. It needs to settle it.
When your leadership is executing people in the street right as their war is ending.
Yes, that's not good. And so the first part was the return of the hostage. Mm-hmm. And again, they're going to see this weeks later.
Yeah, it's going to be like 3 weeks. So if we're
3 or 4 weeks later. So as of this morning, they had finally gave a press release that they don't know where the rest of the remains are. Yeah. Which, I mean, I could see they probably moved them around everywhere,
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's just so sad for families, especially in the Jewish culture, because burial's such a
big part of the culture.
Big part of their culture, and honoring the body. But here's the other side. The second dimension of it is that they're supposed to disarm. Now, whether that's going to come through force or they're going to do it willingly, here's an aspect of this that nobody's talking about. They returned how many hostages? 21? 20 alive?
There was 20 live hostages,
okay,
yes.
20 alive. And then there's 23, 24 remains of hostages that are supposed to be returned, and that they now said they don't know where the rest are. But what's not being talked about in the press is what Israel had to do to get those hostages. So they released over 2,000 Palestinian prisoners.
Yeah.
For 20 living hostages.
And the prisoners were convicted of crimes. Not just thrown in prison. They were convicted.
At least 200 of them were convicted of terrorist activity.
Yeah.
At least 200. At least 200 of them had shed blood with terrorist activities. Mm-hmm. So so now you've sent 2,000 terrorists back to an area the likelihood of them not doing something again is probably not, it's probably, for the likelihood of them holding to the treaty is not going to be high, in my opinion. The Bible warns when you say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes. I think that could be a real serious situation right here. Now, much of the Arab world, because of their involvement, might keep this under control with the Abraham Accords. It could keep it totally, it might have a totally different impact, in the Middle East than other nations. But I'm skeptical, and here's the reason why. Because I believe, and I need to go back and do research on this, but I believe that Islam teaches that they can't make peace with an infidel for more than 7 or 10 years, something like that. That's as long as it can go. So I don't know. I have to look at that again. Please don't hold me to that. Please don't quote. Maybe somebody on here maybe somebody who's a Muslim, practicing Muslim would know that. It's either, the Quran or in the Hadith, one of the two. I have to look. But one of them says something to that effect. Again, it's been a long time since I've studied Islam. But anyhow, they don't make treaties, and they don't have a history of making treaties and staying with it. Let's just say that. So I don't see this lasting long. Now, what that's going to mean, I don't know. Does that mean that they're going to push all of them out? Because that's going to bring into play Psalm 83, which is, Israel pushing out these groups that are dwelling on the fringes of the land that are attacking. These are enemy groups dwelling in the fringes of the land, pushes them out. And then that Psalm 83 war will lead to Ezekiel 38-39, which is Gog and Magog. And that war will lead to finally all the nations gathering together in the Valley of Megiddo for what we call the Battle of Armageddon. It's actually them just gathering in the battlefield there, and then Jesus coming. So how and when all that's going to play out is up there. That's the reason I warned in one of our episodes we did, don't just take every news cycle and all of a sudden turn it into a prophecy.
I don't know if that actually got recorded.
It might not have, but yeah, be careful taking just news headlines and making them prophetic. Stay within the confines of the Word and say, hey, this could be the fulfillment of that, and just stay aware of it. When it is the fulfillment, there'll be no doubt, but you won't know till we get there.
Well, I'm going to skip ahead then because you touched on this. Does Psalm 83 foretell coalitions resembling Hamas, Hezbollah, and I'm definitely not pronouncing that right, and Iran's influence?
Yeah, you pronounced it pretty well. Ooh. Yeah, no, it does. The Houthis as well, and Syria. So all of the stuff we've been seeing go on with Iran, Syria, Lebanon, the Houthis, some factions out of Ethiopia, some animosity, and some of the reactions out of Turkey and those regions, all of them are pointing toward a greater thing, which is Ezekiel 38-39. But a precursor to that is it looks like to me either a war or a phase of war where Israel is pushing back enemies that are on the border. So this is going to be West Bank area. This is going to be the Palestinian area. This is going to be, up toward Lebanon and some of the northern parts of Israel where Hezbollah is at. And how that's going to happen and how that's going to roll out, who knows? But yeah, Psalm 83 has to have, in my opinion, Psalm 83 is the next major thing we have to see when it comes to Israel.
All right, my question that I skipped because you were leading into that is, what can the October 7th attacks teach us about reoccurring prophetic patterns?
Well, it's interesting that Hamas is mentioned in the scripture, and specifically in Psalm 83. It's just translated in the English as, terror or violence. But I think the main point that people need to draw from out of this is how the nations are responding to Israel possessing what they have. Mm-hmm. They're going to push the two-state solution, and the scripture warns against dividing the land, a judgment on dividing the land. But they're going to push toward a two-state solution. My friends who are Arabs, who are Muslims, tell me, quit pushing a two-state solution.
Yeah, and I feel like Israel wasn't. I don't think Israel was going for a two-state solution.
Well, no, Israel doesn't want to do that. But, Israel's trying to do whatever to have peace, and they don't want the whole world mad at them, and that's kind of what's taking place. So, really the main prophetic pattern you need to see is this upswing of anti-Semitic rhetoric, especially coming out of conservative movements, because
it's always been in the liberal movements.
But and the reason I say that is because the Bible describes Israel when Megiddo happens, Armageddon is taking place, as standing alone. They're by themselves with no allies or anything. And so it doesn't mention us, the most powerful, giving, philanthropic nation on the planet, doesn't mention us at all. And but it mentions them standing alone. So something's got to happen that turns all of her allies against her. Now, what that is, I have no idea. But I think it's probably going to be Psalm 83. You can look and see how people are already responding when they did a 7-front war, starting fighting all these enemies on 7 fronts. They were just decimating these terrorist groups. Right, wrong, or indifferent, if you agree, it doesn't matter whether you agree with how they're doing or what. I'm just saying it really looks and feels like Psalm 83 to me. And you can see the anti-Semitic...
I feel like if we did not have a conservative president when all of this went down, it didn't. We did have a liberal president when it went down, but at this point, all of the allies already would have turned against because the United States would have pulled out.
Well, I agree with that. Historically, we've always stood with Israel, but for the most part, but it's some administrations have been more friendly than others. Mm-hmm. Definitely, Trump is a strong supporter of the nation of Israel, strong supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu, even though locally he's very unpopular within his own nation. And so you can see a lot of parallels going on there that you have going on with Trump here, with the country split.
Mm-hmm. All right, what has been the United States' historical role towards Israel, and how is that kind of coming together in the now as we're helping them with this peace treaty?
Well, it's gotten better. Okay. The historical role has gotten better, but to give an example, during the Holocaust, there were Jews on boats that nations were sending to America, and we turned them away. People don't know that about us, but that's a fact. Mm-hmm. And and thankfully, one of our presidents' mother was a very, very strong believer, and very strong supporter of the nation of Israel, and warned him about the treatment of the Jewish people in the nation of Israel. And we opened our arms, and as a result, God blessed us, as a result for it. But
because I had in that question, how does that relate to Genesis 12:3? But I was thinking it. I have that one on my computer, so I know what it says.
Yeah, exactly.
I will bless those who bless you.
Yeah. All right. So what does it say?
I will bless those who bless you. Well, that's the shortened version. That's not
and then I'll what? Curse.
Oh, curse those who curse you.
Okay, that's not what it says. So watch
That's the
this.
shortened version.
No, that's not what it says. Even the shortened version. Here's what it says. I will bless him. I'll bless those who bless you, plural. Mm-hmm. I'll curse him who curses you. So notice the blessing is a plural. But if a person, God takes it personally when you speak against, or when you rise up against an aid, not speak against, because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't agree with how this is being handled or how that's being handled. That's not the issue for me. I don't have a problem. I'm not talking about geopolitics here. Now I'm talking about Israel's right as an existence as a nation, them their right as a Jewish people. But God says concerning that, I'll bless those who bless you, and I'll curse him that curses you. In other words, God gets personal about it. Mm-hmm. I will turn my attention directly toward you individually, not.
So the shortened version, that everyone does it plural. So that's why I was like, what do you mean? Yes, it is. I was like, I've read that a million times. I know that is what that says. It's on posters.
Yeah, but that's what
I just
it
looked
says,
at it. Yeah, even NASB, because
Yeah.
you're always on King James version. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I have no idea
Well,
what you're talking
that's
about.
what I memorized.
I know,
easier.
but it says, I'm lost. And the one who curses you, I will curse. The one. It says the one.
Yeah, he points to the individual, which it makes it stronger. So it's a warning that if a person does that, God takes it personally with that person.
Yeah. So coming off of that then, which lines up to my next question because I'm so good at this now. Mm-hmm. But anyway, how does that position the U.S. as they are involved in this mediation and military aid position for blessing or judgment specifically?
I mean,
do you think that it actually helps do you think that we'll actually see a blessing in it for our nation?
Well, I think the only way I could know that and speak certainly about that is if I knew I knew the ins and outs of the geopolitical side of it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what presidents and world leaders are doing and what they're doing for their own personal gain versus what they're doing for the nation's gain. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because a lot of it does have to do with heart, because it always has to do with heart if it has to do with God.
Exactly. And so, I mean, God's definitely not going to bless us if there's an immoral motive behind what we're doing. But if it's for the sake of covering the Jewish people, protecting the nation of Israel because of their biblical and historical right to the land, then yes, we get a blessing for that. Politically, economically, and historically, you can actually look at that. Like, I can actually show you'll track timelines when presidents have actually tried to sign two-state solutions or peace agreements where they forced Israel to the table to make peace. And within 24 hours, major natural disasters happened on American soil. Major national disasters, like world record-breaking natural disasters. Whether it be Katrina or any of the other major hurricanes, you can almost track it. Go look at it and prove me wrong.
That's insane.
It is insane. Yeah. Don't touch the apple of God's eye. The apple is that little center dot in your eye. And if I stick my finger in it, what are you going to do? You're going to pull away and hit at my hand, right? Mm-hmm. Push me away. You put your finger in the apple of God's eye, and that's what happens. But he gets personal. I want to make that clear. It gets personal. It's not a corporate thing. You go that route, God gets personal with it.
How can Christians show compassion for the innocent lives on both sides while affirming Israel's biblical right to the land? So, I mean, that comes to, because a lot of people are claiming, you don't have any compassion for the Palestinian people because obviously we oppose their terroristic leadership. And I think, it's like the unfortunate consequence of war is that innocent lives are also lost in war, especially when you're fighting in a region that's so populated and dense.
Well, It's such a, I think any way that we can help the innocent, we should help. I think any way we can be just and merciful to the innocent and defend the defenseless, we should do that. The problem you have is when you have soldiers who actually use innocent civilians as shields, that gives you a little idea of their moral depravity.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, again, I've known a lot of Palestinian people. In fact, when you go to Israel with me, you'll meet them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And we go eat together, we hang out, we have fun. I mean, they are really enjoyable people. They're hospitable, they're loving, they're very compassionate and kind. If I needed if I'm on a tour and I said, man, I really wish I need a pair of tennis shoes or something, they would go get me a pair of tennis shoes. I mean, they're that kind of people. So it's not like the media is portraying it. At the same time, concerning what's going on now, there has been a lot of compassion shown, more than people know. But what do you do when you have aid that Israel, for the most part, has provided, and other nations have given tons and tons of aid, and it's being stolen before it ever gets to innocent people? Or they're having to fight to even get it across the border. They can't even get a ceasefire to get it across the border, to get it delivered. How do you show compassion in that situation? And unfortunately, you have a regime and a way of thinking that, for the most part, is in there, and it's spewing that downstream on everybody. And you'll see this when we go to Israel, because I'll walk you through a certain part of probably the old city, a certain part of it. I'm not going to mention the name of it. But we've actually walked our friends down this cobble road street only to have children that were Ezra's age that were using the most vile, profane English words you could imagine, saying the F-bomb and everything else to Americans walking down. They didn't even know who we were. They were spitting on us from the upstairs. And what it was is, in that part, there's just this hatred that is just being taught to them, right? And so you have this mistrust on the Jewish side because of the atrocities. You have this hatred that's not who these people are. They're very hospitable by nature, very loving by nature, very family oriented by nature, conservative people, you would say, by nature. But they're being raised in an ideology and under a regime mindset that is not giving them any hope for a future. And you and I have the luxury of saying and believing whatever we want to say and believe, because we're under a nation that gives us that right. These people aren't under that. These people, if they spoke out against the leadership, they're executed in the street without mercy.
Yeah.
And there's terrible atrocities that just happen to them. And one of my biggest issues that I have with the media is, having been over there so many times, you know more about the situation than what they're reporting. And one of my issues with the media is they never talk about what kind of atrocity their government is doing to those people. It's always everybody else's fault. But Iran and other countries are giving them billions of dollars. Why can't they buy something other than bombs? Why can't they build buildings and build businesses and do investments? And, Trump is not wrong when he says this, even though I don't think this is what he intends to do. I don't know, we'll have to see. But he's not wrong when he says this, that it could be a beautiful piece of real estate. it's setting right on the Mediterranean Ocean.
Yeah, it's got beautiful beaches.
It is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I've stayed not far from there in Netanya, and it is absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. It could have a thriving economy. It could do so well, and Israel is not pushing them down. They're getting all the money in the world from the richest countries in the world. But it's to keep the fighting going on. And so how do you break that ideology? I don't know. I don't know how that happens. I pray that God help them, and somehow or another somebody can get in there and the gospel can get in there and penetrate it and give them some hope. Because really it's a hopeless situation. If you saw it, it would really hurt your heart. Because you can't do anything. And all these people that are screaming, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to go do that, they're not going to let you in there do that. Number one, you don't dress a certain way and you're not going in.
That's how Muslim nations are.
And if well, not all.
Not all, but
some.
Any of them that are under Sharia law.
Yeah. But yeah, so, it really breaks my heart because, again, I have such good friends that are Palestinian folks, and they're good people. And the ones who live like in Jerusalem and they're out of that ideology and all of that stuff, they're not that way. The ones who, man, you go to Bethlehem and you go behind, they have a wall basically there you got to go through, and we have a Bethlehem guide. Well, there's a ton of Christians in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
But there's also some very hostile, people of other, of that real strict faith that is very hostile. Now, they need the tourism, it's money, so they leave it alone. But Bethlehem has become dangerous at certain times. And that's where you got a Christian population. And they pray that God somehow or another gives them out of it. So, yeah, we need to pray for those people. We need to show compassion. We need to reach out to them any way that we can. But it's really hard when you can send all the money in the world, but unless there's the right leadership there, it's not going anywhere.
I'm going off script. We're going.
Yeah, let's go off script.
My thing now. So there's also when it comes to Israel, how much of Israel and I guess in Palestinian regions too is Christian? Because I think there's often this. I know it's mostly Jewish. I mean, it's obviously, or at least ethnically Jewish, right? But I think there's also this strong thing that Christians are weirdly supportive, and I know we're biblically supportive, but I'm talking from a outsider view, from somebody that's not Christian in America. They see it as kind of stupid that we would support a nation because they don't even see them as believing the same thing we do. So how does that kind of overlap? How much of that region is actually Christian? I'm just bringing in things that I've heard people argue with me now.
Well, the greatest, one of the things that will shock you about the nation of Israel is the vast majority of people there are atheists or agnostic. Even with all the archaeological sites, the historical sites, it's mind-numbing that it's that way. You have strong religious sects within Jerusalem and certain areas of the country. Mm-hmm. Nazareth, Bethlehem, Jericho. There's a sizable Christian population in Nazareth. There's a sizable Christian population in Bethlehem. And there's a pretty good sizable population in Jerusalem, Messianic Jews. There's some in Tel Aviv, not much. Tel Aviv is a very secularized city. Think New York. Okay, except without the Christian faith. I mean, it's very secular.
Well, New York doesn't have much Christian faith.
Yeah, I know, but it's very secular. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, you could think New York per capita, kind of how Christianity is popular versus just secular thought. But you have that. Then you have the Orthodox Jewish, right? And its various branches. So you might have a modern Orthodox and then a very strict Orthodox Jew. You have various branches of that. It's kind of like denominations in Christianity. Then you have the same thing within the Muslim community. So you have people they're Muslim because they're Muslim by birth, by name, or by virtue of a belief system, but they don't practice. And then you have some that are very strict on it, and they go to the extreme. So here's what's interesting. Again, we're dealing with a nation that actually allows religious liberty.
Yeah, which is the only one in the region,
to
correct?
a great degree.
Yeah.
They allow religious liberty. The others don't. Everything that everybody says they want is there, but it's illogical. Makes no sense to not support to some degree. Now again, I'm not in agreement with all the politics. I'm not in agreement with how things are handled or the way things are handled, but at the same time, I'm not in the know. I'm not in rooms getting all classified information from, Secret Service and top secret individuals that are giving me classified information. There's things that they know that we don't know. So I just know that when it comes to the Israel as a nation and the Jewish people and their right to exist and Jerusalem, I got to support them. That's what I know. I got to stand with them. Now I can disagree with them, and I do. When I go over there, I disagree with them theologically.
Well,
but
I can imagine so.
Yeah, I disagree with them theologically. And I disagree with them a lot of times politically. Because in a lot of ways, it's democratic yet socialist kind of setup. It's a little mixture. But
they're a democracy, but they're not like our democracy.
No. It's not the same. Different form of government. But again, they're the only stable country with freedom in the country.
Region.
Yeah. In the region, rather, not in the country. But
I got you.
Yeah. So again, this goes back to their right to exist, and and it's an eternal covenant, and I don't have a choice about that.
Which, in case anyone didn't know, you guys all refer. Well, I'm talking about them. You guys all refer to that as Zionism, which is proper.
Okay, so yes and no.
That's what the modern term is. Yeah.
Well, I know, but that everybody's throwing it under that umbrella, but that's not necessarily the case. So what a lot of people are referring to as modern Zionism is the political regime and how it's handling things. But biblical Zionism
it's just the right to exist.
Is the right to exist,
okay.
The right to the Holy Land, Jerusalem, being the capital, eventually one day having a temple and being able to worship. So what's crazy about this argument, we're against that, but we're not against the Muslims having a right to land, their right to worship, their right to have a capital, and their right to have a Dome of the Rock sitting in the middle of Jerusalem, in the land of Israel, but they won't let Israel have a temple on it. And the temple was there long before the Dome or the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Both of those are sitting on the Temple Mount. And my point in bringing that up is it's illogical. It just doesn't make sense. And the only way you can even wrap your mind around the stupidity of everything going on is just saying it's got to have a spiritual reason. It's got to be something demonic going on to make everybody hate this little place that has done a lot for the world, And they talk about how we support them, but there's a lot of inventions the rest of the world wouldn't have if it wasn't for Israeli minds and things of that nature. So it's I'm just shocked by it. It's just illogical to me.
Okay, I have one final question. And this one is more with America, or like in the American terms. A lot of the times, those that support Israel because we're Christians are also the people that are more pro-American. So say that we shouldn't be sending all of our money to other countries. Those political ideologies typically overlap because of conservative values and those kinds of things in America. So how do we rationalize the difference between sending aid and all of our resources and stuff to Israel when we are kind of against it when we're sending it to other countries like Ukraine?
Okay. So,
because that's a very big argument, and I kind of see the fallacy there.
Let's just think a little bit about the geopolitical atmosphere. If we need to access a base because of some kind of aggression from a country in that part of the world, where are we going to do it from?
We only have Israel.
Well, Israel is an ally, a strong ally. We do have other allies.
Yeah.
But
not historic.
How historic and stable are they, right? We have a stable ally there. So sometimes it is wise to invest in your friends, right? And to stand with your friends in certain ways. Now, again, I don't agree with everything we do in that aspect. I don't think we should be just sending money all over the world either, you know, and especially...
Not when we have as many problems at home as we do.
Especially when we've got issues, but also some of these countries are very wealthy, right? And so I don't really understand the Russia-Ukraine deal. I'm just telling you right now, Russia could take Ukraine in a matter of 48 hours. The whole country.
Yeah.
Anybody with a half a brain knows that. It's almost like they've got us involved in that war to drain financial. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I'm trying to figure that one out. But we're doing that all over the world. We're giving to everything and everybody in the world. And the same people say, quit giving to Israel. Will say, hey, we're not going to vote for y'all to open the government up because you won't have transgender surgeries in some place in Latin America that we never even heard about.
Covered.
You know, you know what I mean? And so it's just such a weird dynamic. It's illogical. It has to be spiritual. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. You're about to fall asleep. So
I'm hungry and tired. So anyway, we're ending there. So that's it for this episode and for I'm going to say for the series for now, but we might come back to some of this stuff. I have more questions.
By the way, y'all have been in my living room.
Oh yeah, that's why we're filming on different mics today too. So we have so many things going on at the church. So
yeah, there's so much stuff going on. But yeah, it's the reason you're in my living room. So now you can say you've been in my house.
Okay. Anyway, but no, that's all we have for you guys. So like, comment, subscribe, all the things, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep.
All right.